It's a wonderful thing to see how a BF4 map is created, going through all the stages and being directed mainly from the player base. Like I've been doing in the past, in this video I'll be showing you guys the latest updates to CMP, and this patch contains a lot of improvements. It seems like detail and making sure there's enough cover around the map was the main focus, but before I talk about the capture points, let's talk about some new improvements and features of the map. Like I showed you in my last CMP video, DSLA added in a new style of vine tree that was only in place around some parts of the map. You'll notice this tree is now in a lot more locations, which is great as it helps build and capture that jungle theme. You'll notice the water looks completely different. Before it had very little detail and there's actual plant life and foliage on either side of the banks. You'll find these kind of mini statues around various points of the map, which matches up with the big temple at the sea flag. So like I said, there's a lot more detail in the map, and I don't know if DSLA plan on adding more, because at the moment it's almost completely perfect. I mean, the map looks absolutely amazing, and it really does remind me of some of the jungle maps from Bad Company 2. But anyway, let's focus on the ghost town first, which has seen some added cover and detail. You'll find a new shipping container towards the top of the village when you come from the temple. There's a lot of little details that's been added around the town, just typical things you would normally find in the village. I think there's even a few electricity poles spanning across some of the village. Also, you'll find car wreckage that can help give you cover if needed. However, the issue that I still have with this capture point is the damn radius where you can burn the flag. It still seems to be small, or its placement is not even. If you're coming from the D flag, I feel like you still need to get quite close to the flag before you're able to burn it, and this can get slightly more annoying once most of the cover has been destroyed within the radius. The only real chance you have is to either cross over and find cover on the other side of the village, or just simply go prone and kind of hide within the ground foliage, which luckily is an actual semi-viable option as it's quite lush and will provide you with a little bit of cover. Next up, let's focus on the temple. This capture point has been changed quite a few times over the months, and in the latest patch it got a whole heap of extra cover and detail. As we can see, various new structures around the frontal part of the capture point have been added, so it's a little easier to attack from the ghost town and the E flag. We also have a few stone structures and plenty of rocks to use to your advantage if you're trying to attack the flag. The left and right side of the temple has a whole heap of pathways and areas to take some cover if you're trying to approach the flag with some level of stealthiness. Even the back of the temple has a new wall structure to give it some extra detail, and my favourite part is this spot right here at the back of the temple that's kind of broken away, which as you can see you can walk up to get behind the enemy and clear out any infantry, which is exactly what I'm doing here. If you're defending the flag, you should always watch out behind you as you can be outflanked very easily. But overall, I think the temple looks amazing and it's become a really enjoyable capture point to defend or attack. So let's talk about some bug fixes. If you guys watched my last video, I talked about how you couldn't vault through most of the goddamn windows of the village houses around the map. Well, it seems like you can after the update. Also, I didn't find any invisible walls this time around. Before the update, it was quite bad, especially on the D flag. Once some of the houses were destroyed, invisible walls seemed to just appear. But it's great to see those sorts of issues are gone. I also talked about how I spawned outside the map on occasion. This still happened a few times, even after the update. It always seemed to happen at the medical facility. Not too sure what's going on there, but I have seen a lot of people complain about it on the CTA Reddit page. And if you do manage to come across this problem, make sure to leave a detailed post in the relevant thread. I'll leave a link down below to where you can do so. Also, alongside of all the extra detail and cover, another feature of the map is the battle pickups have been added, and to my surprise they were added in relevant locations on the map. You'll see here, soon after capturing the ghost town flag, I picked up the M136 rocket launcher to take out the transport heli and got a nice quad kill. You'll find two of these pickups at either end of the ghost town, which like I said is in a good location, as most of the time the transport heli and other enemy vehicles pass through this section of the map. Also at the temple we have the M82A3, which I got pretty lucky with. I was aiming once again at the transport heli all the way at the medical facility and somehow managed to snipe out the driver while looking in between a few tree branches. Though I have to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of the battle pickup system in BF4, but the ones in the jungle map don't seem to create any unbalanced moments during gameplay. Well, at the moment it doesn't, but we'll see in due time. As for negatives of CMP, there's very little bad sides to the map, which is really good news for the game. However, I don't know if anyone else agrees with me here. I still feel like the ghost town and the temple are the hot zones where you'll find most of the players will be around. It almost seems like the E, A, and even maybe the D flag are just secondary capture points that you just take then quickly go back to either the temple or ghost town. I know this happens a lot in maps. Normally the central points will have most of the attention, and in the last update, Darsalay did move some of the flag points closer together that actually helped out making the D flag more accessible, but I feel like it's left the A and E flags out there on their own a little too much. The only thing I can suggest is maybe the E and A flags can spawn an LEV or even the damn Amtrak or something like that to make it more of a viable place to hold, rather it just being a capture point you take and leave almost immediately. Also, like I mentioned before about the capture point burn radius of the ghost town, I feel like the temple's radius is a little too big. To be honest, I think it extends too far out the front. I know Darsalay probably don't want a cluster of players all within the middle of the temple fighting for control, but I do think it extends a little too far out the front. Also, for some strange reason, all the dirt bikes were removed. I have no idea why. I think they were great to get around the map, and I do think it works well within the jungle theme. Also, not too sure if you guys will agree or not, I'm starting to think the ground light is maybe a little too bright, even in places that has a lot of overhead trees. I think they can fix this problem by changing the foliage to a darker green, and if there's any room for extra detail, maybe they can add some more ground shadows, though I imagine there's some technical limitations to make sure performance is still there across all platforms. Also, I want to mention a few side projects for CMP. It's time to name the jungle map. There's a thread on the CTA Reddit page where you can suggest a name. There's a nice description of the backstory and also a call out sheet for references. For me, I'd like to see the map being called something more traditional Battlefield style. I'll put a few names on screen that other people have suggested. If you'd like to suggest a name, I'll leave a link down below where you can do so. Also remember, there was a survey going around that asked which game mode do you want to see Darsalay work on for the jungle map. Well, it seems like Domination was the winner, and I believe there's a Domination CMP server active. I'm going to try and get some gameplay from it, but I'm sure you guys know it can be pretty hard to find an active CTE server at times. But anyway guys, that's it for another jungle map update video. I'm sure there's going to be more in the near future. As usual, leave a comment down below. Make sure to let me know your thoughts on the map updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.